Okay, on the episode of the show today, we're going to be talking about sports cards that sell for over $1 million. Who better to talk to about that than Heritage Auctions here in Dallas, Texas? I'm here with Mike Provenzale, who is the production manager at Heritage Auctions. So what does the production manager do here, Mike?
It's titled just vague enough for them to throw any job or responsibility at me, and it's encompassed under that term. Mostly what I do is our marketing, our social media. I put our catalogs together. I do special events. I deal with consigners, bidders, clients, you name it, I pretty much have a hand in it.
A little bit of everything. So you do work in the sports auctions as well.
That's correct.
Are you a collector?
I was not a collector at all until I started working at Heritage 15 years ago.
Are you serious?
I hung on to some things, but no true collector would say what I was doing at the time was collecting.
Okay, fair enough.
But I have found a few things I like to purchase, and nothing spectacular. I get to see the spectacular things every day that I can never afford, but there are a few odds and ends that I do pick up from time to time.
So being around these wild memorabilia, cards, signed bats, signed balls, signed jerseys, like, do you ever start to become just it just becomes run-of-the-mill?
I do have some coworkers that I will not name that have become a little jaded by the type of material that we get to offer at Heritage. But dealing with clients and doing our social media and our marketing keeps me in touch with the public out there, so it's a little more difficult for me to feel like I'm above it all, and I certainly am not.
Well, so I wanted to come here and talk to you guys because as you know, there's been this trend of sports cards selling for over $1 million in these big public auctions. Did you ever think you would see sports cards selling for six figures, much less over $1 million?
It happened a lot faster than we thought it would. Cards and memorabilia have been such good and steady earners for decades, really. So you knew it was going to get to that point eventually. But it's happened a lot faster, and things are even on a very steep incline right now as far as prices, which is great for everyone, no matter what level you collect at. When the top level things are pushing the limit, it raises everything up.
It's wild. So I've got a list of some auctions that have occurred over the last 20 years that are, well, these are the only auctions that are, yeah. So let's go over these, and we can just talk about each of these individually. So in 2000, this was the first sports card to ever sell for over $1 million. It was, of course, the T206 Honus Wagner. It sold for $1.2 million, and this was kind of the proof of concept for cards to be selling over $1 million. I think if you'd talked to like our parents and told them something from, you know, a sports card of any type was going to sell for over $1 million, they'd have thought you were crazy.
Yeah, and that was a huge story across all venues and nationwide when that happened. Something no one could have expected it at that time, and it was a huge moment for the hobby, for anyone that collects. Very few can collect at that level, but it did give credibility to people who were collecting, who were doing it as dealers, who it's their occupation or they wanted it to be their occupation, that it is something legitimate. And when someone is putting, and really at an auction, it's two people who are putting that much money behind something, it validates what a lot of us have known for a long time, that it's more than just a hobby. It's something that you can make serious money at.
So how did the auction industry react to seeing a sale that big?
Probably like this. At first.
No, or like this.
Yeah, also that, privately, yes.
Sure, of course.
But that's a big step. When something cracks $1 million, it really generates a lot of public interest.
Sure.
And that number, we talk about it all the time with our marketing team. $1 million is a big deal. You know, it's different than 800,000 even, or 900,000. $1 million denotes something certain in everyone's head, no matter your walk of life. So that was a huge story, a big step forward. And for auction houses, lots of auction houses sprang up, mom and pop ones. You know, that let people know that there's money behind what they were doing, and confidence is a big factor. When people are paying millions of dollars for something, it gives people confidence at whatever level they're investing in. Even if you're buying something for $200, if you know that it's got the backing of heavy money people and people that are seriously invested, it gives you a little more security in what you're doing at whatever level.
How important is that? I think the term is provenance, the story behind the item. How important is that?
I think that adds a ton to anything.
Okay.
And it's hard for cards to have provenance. On the memorabilia side, you see a lot of items where it's easier to tell the story of what it is. A lot of people think, you know, when you're marketing a card, here it is, it's this, and that's it. There isn't much behind it.
Right.
The T206 Wagner has a great story behind it. It's a legendary set. That's just going to get more people interested and get more people coming back into it.
Do you have a valuable card collection but you put zero effort into storage? Do you keep your cards in a box like this?
Or like this.
Something like this? This? Ho, ho, ho. What are we doing here? You need Pastime Marketplace. Pastime Marketplace is the Mercedes-Benz of sports card storage. The cases come in a variety of sizes. They're waterproof, airtight, dustproof, and extremely durable. If you care about your collection, visit PastimeMarketplace.com and treat your cards to the storage they deserve.
Don't forget to use discount code BenchClear to get 10% off your order. So then there was a long period of time where there were no seven-figure sales. Obviously, the country went through a recession and money was tight for several years. Fast forward to 2016, the T206, another T206
what a surprise,
is back
right?
at auction. This was the famous, I think it's called the Jumbo Wagner. This went through and just crushed auction records at that point in time, $3.1 million.
And that opened a lot of people's eyes that this is a big money investment. It's something we should pay attention to. And for any form of investment or collecting, the more people you bring in, the better it is for everyone.
Sure. Okay, 2018, our very own Heritage Auctions auctioned off a 52 mantle in PSA 9, went for almost $3 million, $2.8 million, and that was the most a card had fetched that wasn't a Wagner card at that point in time.
And it was a big deal for us, of course. It was a extended bidding closing, as all our auctions are, so it was all of us in the office. We're still on staff. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and we ran out to get champagne to celebrate. That was a huge moment. We'd prepped for it. 2 years earlier, we'd sold a 52 tops mantle in an 8.5 for just over $1 million.
Okay.
And that was a big step for us, and we knew that 52 tops mantle in a PSA 9 was going to be a huge item. And you know, it's a lot of fun when you have a big result like that. Everybody, you know, part of what you do as an auction house is trying to get exposure for the consignor's material and bring in bidders, and you're often reaching out, but when you have a result like that, everybody's coming to you. They want to talk to you about it, and it's a fun story. And that was a big step for the 52 tops mantle, which now many would say is the face of the hobby on the vintage side, for sure.
As an iconic card. Okay, now we're going to enter 2020. So in February of this year, a 2003-04 Jordan LeBron, a dual card. It was an exquisite collection logo man, sold for just under $1 million. It sold for $900,000.
Huge result.
I mean, it's one of these players is still playing. Is it not wild? Of course it's Jordan and Jordan's Jordan, but then you've got LeBron's rookie year that year. I mean, this completely changes the game. Now we're talking modern, not only modern, but current players.
And that was a big step for the hobby. And anybody who's a collector knows there is a divide between the people who collect modern and the people who collect vintage, and maybe even a rivalry, you could say. And that was a big moment because it showed that the modern side had recovered. in the 80s and 90s, the overproduction, it not only kind of killed the market for those cards, but a lot of people lost interest in it. They're collecting and holding on to the cards that they think are going to be valuable, and 10 years later they're worth less than they were when they bought them.
Right.
So a lot of people thought nothing after 1980 is going to be valuable. And that showed that it was not only wrong, but very wrong.
So May of this year, we had another one. This was the 2009 Mike Trout Bowman Chrome Draft Red Refractor. So that's a mouthful. It was out of 5, so there are 4 more out there, theoretically. Sold for just under $1 million, $922,000. And this crushed the record for modern baseball cards.
And that was, a long time coming. For us, as Heritage, we really started hitting our stride in 2010 or so. And after the recession we talked about earlier, a lot more money came into the hobby. A lot of people were getting out of traditional investment, Wall Street and real estate, things that they'd gotten burned on. A lot of people got burned back then by things like that. And they were looking for new ways to invest, new ways to make money. And a lot of them came into cards and memorabilia collecting. And we've seen that only continue for us. Our bidder base has crossed 1 million bidders.
Wow.
And it's a lot of new bidders, a lot of serious people that have a lot of serious money behind it. And that Trout result is a result of all these new people coming into the hobby that have real money, and they want to invest it in someone they like, someone they've seen play. No one alive has seen Honus Wagner play. I mean, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I think that's safe.
He's a legend. That card has legendary status, but people collect for passion too. And it's easier to get passionate about someone someone you've followed, someone that has an incredible career. All those people who were getting out of Wall Street and real estate, you buy a card or a piece of memorabilia, it's something you can show off as an investment. You can brag about it.
That's true.
Nobody cares about your pork belly stock. You're not going to hang that up on the wall.
Right.
But, that's something, and especially with sports collecting, every sports collector knows that no matter who you're talking to, even if they're a layman, they know these names. They know Babe Ruth, they know Michael Jordan, they know Mike Trout. So it incites passion, and they recognize it whatever they do in their real life.
What really excites me about thinking about this, when we're talking about someone like Trout, when we're talking about someone like Giannis or LeBron, guys that are still in the league, like LeBron's card sells for almost $2 million. I'm about to get to that.
Yes.
He could win another NBA title in a couple of weeks. Like, what does it do then? If it was just $2 million.
I mean, that's the fun about collecting, is that, especially the modern guys, the story isn't over.
Right.
So anyone who's investing at that level knows that there's a certain amount of risk. Of course, cards have been a very steady earner and a very secure investment. But when you're investing on the modern side, there's a lot more risk. There's no scandal coming out for Babe Ruth.
Right.
And any of those vintage guys. And I think LeBron is incredibly safe. He's proven that, not only to be a great athlete, but great off the court, and a very good person, does a lot of good work. So, but, you look at people like O.J. Simpson, Tiger Woods that have had incidents, Mark McGwire.
Right.
And the things that have happened in their personal lives have affected what their collectibles are worth. So if you're talking about somebody that's still playing, their story isn't finished yet, there is an element of risk. Now, LeBron and Mike Trout are the most solid you can do as far as people that are still playing right now.
Sure.
No question.
One of my favorite, do you know who Gary Vee is?
I do.
Okay, one of my favorite Gary Vee quotes was, he said, you never have to worry about Pokemon blowing out his ACL.
Right.
Like it's a
Charizard maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to July of this year, a 2003-04 LeBron Exquisite RPA out of 23. There are 22 more of these out there somewhere. Went for $1.8 million, nearly $2 million, and this was one of the biggest card sales of all time for an active player.
Another sale that got a ton of attention, and it's in that same vein that there's a little bit of risk there, but when you say there's 23 out there, there's more. those cards are going to come out, and this one's setting the price, and who knows what those other examples will do based on this. Whenever you're talking about an auction, an item is worth whatever it is, whatever two people are willing to pay for it. So it shows that there's at least two people out there that are willing to put that much money behind it, and that's only going to help everyone else out that comes behind it, because people who have that money that maybe weren't investing it in modern cards say, hey, these other guys, they know what they're doing, I'm going to get on this train too. And they may not buy $1 million card, but they may start buying 5-figure cards or a lot of cards that are at 5,000. It just shows that putting money into the hobby and into card collecting and memorabilia is secure, and there's a future in it.
I'm curious to know, do you have any idea of, well, obviously you have an idea, but
I've certainly got an opinion.
How many of your bidders are foreign bidders on something like an NBA item that's going that high?
Well, we're lucky at Heritage. We have 40 different departments. We've been in business for over 35 years, and we're a global company.
Right.
We have offices in Europe. We have an office in Hong Kong.
No kidding. Okay.
And we really take advantage of those foreign markets. Of course, basketball is huge in the Asian markets. It's coming along in Europe as well. So the bigger the bidder pool, the better it is for consigners and bidders. I mean, the more exposure everything gets globally, and let's face it, it's becoming a global industry. Everything is becoming a global industry, especially now. Everybody's at home doing meetings on their computer. You could be having a meeting with anyone in the world. You don't even have to leave your bedroom. Don't tell my bosses I'm doing the meetings in the bedroom. But, so a global market is an important part of it, and of course the United States has led the way in card collecting, especially in memorabilia, but the world is catching up, and those markets are going to be very hot very soon, and that's where a lot of the new money is going to come into the hobby from.
That's very exciting. So, okay, moving on to August of this year, this is the big one, the 2009 Mike Trout Bowman Chrome Draft Super Refractor 1 of 1. Like, this is a really special card.
Right.
Like the ultimate Mike Trout card, essentially. It's autographed. It goes for nearly $4 million. Like, do you have these moments where everybody stops and they're like, did you hear what the Trout Super Refractor did?
Of course. We keep track of everything in the market, what everything sells for, and that's an impossible price to ignore.
Yeah.
And it makes us think about the future. When are we going to get the next card that's going to make a price like that, that's going to set the market value? And any good price in collecting is great for everybody in the hobby. And you want to see the prices doing well. You never want to see things dropping off. And we're lucky in this industry. It's very healthy right now. And as I've said a few times, there's a lot of money coming into it. And our job as an auction house is to get in front of those people.
All right, so the final sale of over $1 million so far this year. I mean, so far this year, it's not even
2020 has been a big year in a lot of ways.
It's so wild, and I want to talk more about that because I find that fascinating. But 2013-14 Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Nailed it.
Okay, close.
He was practicing that for 10 minutes ahead of time.
In a mirror earlier. So his National Treasures rookie logo man. I believe this was the one. I believe that is a 101. I should have done that fact. Sold for $1.8 million. It's Giannis. Giannis is amazing. Two-time MVP now. But he's not LeBron yet. He's not the Mike Trout of basketball either. So to see his card go for that much is pretty wild, right?
It was a surprising result. The basketball market's doing great right now, especially on the modern side. You're seeing leaps and strides in what people are going to pay for basketball cards. And there's a lot of great product being put out there, and that's why people are confident in it. As we said, you're doing a little speculating there. He hasn't won a title. They've struggled in the playoffs. Everybody knows that if in the NBA, that's how you're judged, is titles. That's what everybody throws on LeBron right now. Well, he's not Jordan because he doesn't have enough titles.
Of course.
So, I would say that whoever bought that and the people who were also bidding on it are making an investment in his future. They think he's going to get there. He's definitely got the skills. They've got a great team, but as we talked about, you never know what could happen. They could blow out a knee, but the important thing for the hobby is when that price is set at the top for one of his most spectacular cards, it helps all his other cards that, us normal people can afford.
Of course.
That's going to mean good returns on that. People who have been already investing in the Greek Freak love seeing that number. Because, even if they don't have $1 million card, maybe the card they bought for $500 is now worth $5,000.
So I feel like we have to seize the moment for the easiest segue of all time to talk about an item you brought in here today that I'm losing my mind.
I'm gonna let you hold it.
Oh my
right
gosh!
There.
Hold on. Let me try and reinforce my hands so they aren't shaking.
So everybody's been talking about Giannis. This is another fantastic card here. And it's one that we expect now to do over $1 million. When was the last time you held $1 million in your...
I mean, just earlier today, but no, absolutely never.
We do it a few times a day at Heritage, but always it's fun to see someone experience it for the first time.
So it's the 1/1 black rookie auto prism. I believe I'm all of our...
You didn't go with the last name though this time.
Oh, Anthony. See, I've practiced it so many times.
Better the first time.
I've got to practice it. I like to just call him the alphabet because it's safer, and I know I can pronounce that correctly. But man, let's make sure. So I also want to show you on the back. We've got the 1/1 on there, right in the center of the photo there. But so. I mean, how do you guys pursue a card like this, or does someone approach you, say, Heritage, you've got a great track record, you've got a giant audience, like I want to give you my $1 million basketball card?
It happens both ways for us. We have a lot of people that are constant consigners with us. Thank you to them. That trust us. They know what a great job we do presenting their material and how sound our financial base is. But we are always doing outreach to find new people, new clients, bidders, and consigners. It's been a struggle this year without the shows. We can't get out there and meet everyone. But we have the best website in the industry. We have the best social media. So that's certainly helped. And, we've had a great year, luckily, in 2020.
So I bought a couple of cards from you guys in the past in some auctions, probably 5 or 6 years ago. And what I think is a really cool option you guys offer is the ability to keep a card essentially in a vault for you guys. I don't know what you call that, but I bought a card and then I was able to hang on to it and keep a listing on the site, right? And
so people can make an offer on it later. Yeah. So one thing I love about our website, ha.com, and I tell people all the time, every item we've ever sold in every department is in our archives. You can look it up anytime. Full enlargeable images, full descriptions, what it's sold for, the dates of the sale, so it's a great resource for anyone doing research or trying to figure what they should pay for something.
Yeah, no doubt.
But if you buy something for Heritage, any item in our archive, people can make an offer to the owner right there. So you could be sitting at home, you haven't thought about a card you've got in your safety deposit box for 2 years, the market starts moving up on whatever it is, and somebody puts in an offer that you can make a profit. You get an email, it says, do you want to accept, do you want to counter, do you want to reject? And you can make a little money without having to do anything. We'll do it all for you, no worries.
It's such a cool deal, and honestly, you guys were so professional. I was able to come down and pick up the cards in person because I'm a local guy. I don't know if maybe people do that, but that was at the other location. You guys still allow any local people to do that here?
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely.
I thought that was awesome. I was like, okay, so I don't have to worry about like FedEx dropping the box or anything. I can come pick it up myself.
Our office is in Dallas, but we have offices all over the country. We're in Beverly Hills, New York, Chicago. We've also got an office in Florida. We can ship things to those offices if people don't want to have them shipped directly to their house. I have one client that he lives in San Antonio. We're in Dallas right now, but he comes and picks everything up. He doesn't like it shipped.
I cannot
blame him.
So
he comes up, he makes a day of it, and then picks up his stuff and goes back.
So I always think about this, and I've got to think from an auction house perspective. You guys think about this too, because these are potential consigners, but how often do you think about the cards that are lurking out there in these private collections? You can go to the PSA or the Beckett Pop Reports and you can see, for instance, there are 3 52 Mandels graded a PSA 10. At some point in time, there's a good chance that those will hit a big public auction like
Definitely.
Heritage. I wonder what something like that could even go for. If a 9 is doing well over $1 million, what would a Gem Mint 10 do?
We talk about that card all the time.
You
the
do?
52
Okay.
Topps Mantle PSA 10. We're lucky that we have some of the most well-known people on staff that are in the hobby, and they are trusted. One thing about Heritage is our main thing is transparency. We want to give every collector, whoever they are, as much information, whether they're bidding or selling, give them as much information about what they have or what they're looking for, and help them make the most educated decision they possibly can. And if they want to sell it, great, but we do free appraisals on anything. And we'd love to see the PSA 10 Mantle. Based on the market now, I mean, there's no question it would go over $10 million.
Oh my gosh.
3 people sitting on a gold mine out there.
It's just wild to think about. Like, I would love to see one. I've seen one in person. I've seen scans. I think PSA has one on their website.
Right.
But, so I would be remiss if we didn't look at some more of the awesome collectibles you brought today, because the people that are going to be watching this and be like, Jeff, shut up. Just let Mike show some of these items.
This is one I didn't show you earlier,
what is
but
this?
It's very cool. This is a Cy Young handwritten letter that he wrote to Walter Johnson. And
what?
So
did Walter Johnson win the Cy Young? So I wondered,
He
they
did
were
not.
around the same era.
Right,
Okay.
he did not.
Okay, gotcha.
Certainly deserving of
I told you I wasn't going to throw any curveballs at you, but I lied.
But, I saw this come across my desk, and I just thought it was so cool. We see a lot of letters and handwritten letters and autographs from Hall of Famers, but when it's 2 interacting like that, especially 2 of the greatest pitchers of all time, many would say the 2 best. And their interaction and correspondence, it's just very cool to think about them having a relationship. We see athletes interacting all the time now on social media, or they're doing shows or whatever.
Right.
They're all very close, but it was a different era. This is 100 years ago almost. And, there was a lot more animosity between players. There was a lot of, I got to hold on to my job. This guy's trying to steal my job.
Right.
Players are very friendly now, even when they're on opposing teams. Back then it wasn't like that, but 2 class acts, and it's just cool to think about them corresponding back and forth.
I mean, who knew Cy Young had such beautiful handwriting? It looks like calligraphy.
One of the best.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If I'm someone, let's say I have a grandparent pass away or something, we go through.
You're really bringing the show down here.
Well, it just got dark. I'm going through the attic, looking through things, and I stumble across a letter like that. So
You'll say, Grandpa, why didn't you show me this earlier? What happened?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, couldn't you have told me about this earlier? What steps do I take to reach out to Heritage to say, hey, can you guys help me out with this? Obviously, you have a giant audience. Like, how do we do this?
Well, the easiest way is you can call us, of course, 1-800-US-COINS, or you can go through our website, which is ha.com. We do free appraisals on anything. And we specialize in things like that. We've sold a ton of collections from people who, like you said, they inherited it, they stumbled upon it, they didn't really know what they have.
Right.
So we really pride ourselves on giving those people accurate information. We're not trying to force them to sell. We're very realistic in what we tell as far as estimates and prices. We're not going to promise people the moon just to get it in.
Sure.
We want them to be able to know what to expect at auction, and then we work our butts off to make sure that we beat those estimates. And, like we had the Black Swamp find a few years ago where a family
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, so, a family's cleaning out. It's that exact situation. They're cleaning out departed family member's house, and they have pristine cards. They knew nothing about this, so they were researching it all on their own. They found our website, contacted us, and we were able to give them all the information about it, and they've turned that into well over $4 million.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, we're talking about PSA 10, Honus Wagner, Ty Cobb. I think there was a Cy Young in there, but it was this candy set from 1908.
Correct.
And it's just wild. These were untouched cards he was an ad exec, right, or something?
Yeah, and his father had worked in the meat industry, and that
Okay.
series of cards was promoted with meat. They'd gotten them from the manufacturer in a box, tied up with twine, and had never been touched. It sat in that attic for almost 100 years.
My gosh.
Still had the twine on it, still in the original box, so pristine. But we love helping people out like that. It's a great situation, and we have people who know what they're talking about. That's the main thing.
You do.
And if you go to a card shop, they're going to think about if they're going to buy it, getting their percentage. That's the great thing about consigning to an auction house. We're on the same team. We want it to sell for as much as possible. Our end of it comes from how much it achieves. So we're in this together.
Well, and we should not fail to mention the beautiful catalog you guys have.
Oh, thank you very much.
It to me, it's like the new Sears catalog. When you're a kid, the Sears catalog is always great around Christmas time. To me, it's the heritage catalog. So how often do you guys put a catalog out?
Well, we do.
Twice a year?
Oh man, it's become so much more, which is great. When I first started, we did 2 catalog auctions a year in sports. Last year we did 11 catalog
Holy
auctions.
Smokes.
This year we're going to have about 13. We've been doing a lot of single consigner catalogs as well. We always have our big spring and fall card and memorabilia auctions that are about 4,000 lots. We have our 2 platinum auctions in the winter and the summer for items over $10,000. But we've had photo auctions. We've had a lot of people who come to us they have a specific set that they want to sell, and we'll break it up and make it its own catalog. Right now we have the Powell Miller T206 collection. It's the number 3 T206 set on the PSA set registry.
So you will dedicate an entire catalog to a single collection, so that person can also say, yes, I sold this, but I have it all documented here in the most beautiful form ever.
Exactly. So they get world record prices. They turn that collection into a huge paycheck. They can keep the catalog. For consigners, we do hardcover catalogs that they get to keep, so they can still show it off afterwards. It's always on our website, but it's more fun you're telling somebody about it, you pull out the catalog, hand it to them, and you've got this incredible work of art that shows off what you spent so much time collecting.
All right, so let's take a look at another.
All right, how can we not do one of these? It's the Babe Ruth single signed baseball there, very pretty one.
That is a really nice signature too. You'll notice on a lot of Babe Ruth autographs, they're faded. They're old.
Somebody took care of that one.
And this is not an autograph that was left out around daylight, because the daylight will do a number on.
It was really special to somebody, and that's the interesting thing about Babe Ruth. Of course, he's the cornerstone of the hobby, but he's not necessarily rare. He was signing all the time. He was the most popular athlete, quite possibly the most popular man in America during his playing days. But people didn't know that these things were going to be valuable when they were getting Babe Ruth's autograph. It was to show off to their friends that I met Babe Ruth. Look, I got this. So although there's a lot of his autographs out there, a lot of them are not in great condition, and that's what really separates the price. That one should do over $50,000.
You're kidding.
So,
oh my gosh.
We've sold Babe Ruth signed items that you can barely read his signature. We've sold the finest Babe Ruth signed baseball. It was a PSA 9.5 that we sold for $268,000. That was almost 10 years ago. So
oh my gosh.
Probably a $500,000 item now, but there's a wide range on his autograph, and anybody who collects seriously wants to have some kind of Babe Ruth item. If they collect cards, you need a card or a 33 Gaudy or something like that. But if you have an autograph collection, you need to have a Babe Ruth in it.
So let me talk to you about the general health of the hobby. We're talking about these crazy numbers. I mean, it's super exciting. And
Absolutely.
As a collector, I love this. I love knowing there's a bunch of new people flooding into the hobby, some to collect, some to invest. There's a little bit for everybody.
Right.
Do you feel like we're nearing a bubble, or is this sort of growth sustainable, in your opinion?
I think this growth is sustainable. It's been very rapid, and part of it has been fueled by the pandemic. And there's a lot of people we talk to people all the time that they're stuck at home, they're going through their collection, finding things they want to sell. There's a lot more people that need to sell things, sadly, but it's a great opportunity for them to sell. Prices are very high right now. And it's just giving people a lot of time to do research, and you can do research on your phone. So you don't need to go out, you don't have to be at the shows. We miss that part of it, and I think there's a lot of people seeing how serious the hobby is and how much money is behind it, and they want to get involved. There's a lot of people who are sports fans but are not yet collectors. And every day we're bringing more of those people in because it's fun to do. It's fun to take part in it. There's history, there's money, there's interaction. It's got a little of everything, and not many investment formats have all of that. And there's not many things you can invest in that you can say it's fun to do. You know, making money is fun for anyone, but this is one of those hobbies where it's fun to do it, it's fun to meet the people. It's, you know, working at Heritage, I see the most incredible items every day. That's definitely fun, but it's something you can own. Whoever you are out there, you can get a piece of it for yourself.
Okay, so one of the fastest growing areas in the hobby right now is soccer cards. And now I never thought I would say soccer cards.
I never thought I would hear it, but you're right.
I never thought I would say that. For the longest time, soccer cards were just kind of a joke. It was kind of like, well, they make these because some people like soccer, but this isn't a thing. And now it is 100% a thing. Like we've seen cards hit 6 figures. Like what do you think about soccer cards?
I think it's a natural, and there is a great future there. Soccer is the most popular sport on the planet. And as we talked about earlier, you know, America leads the way in collecting, and especially card collecting. And soccer has, although it's gaining ground, it's, you know, not in the top 4 right now, to be honest. And it's got a long way to go to get there, but there's so many people out there collecting right now and looking for things to collect, and there's a ton of soccer fans worldwide. We've seen some great prices for soccer cards from our international community, but buyers are coming through in America too, and there's huge names. These are incredibly famous people, and there's some great product that's been made. We've got some great soccer cards coming up in our December auction, great 0203 Ronaldo. And, yeah, so I think there's a lot of potential there. And like you said, I think it's time that people who are paying attention are investing in soccer. That's why you see it ticking up, and that's only going to continue. And there's going to be a lot of money behind that as well.
This just goes to reinforce my point that in the hobby, there's something for everyone. Literally, like, now we have every sport. We have cards of just pop culture icons, not just, you know, athletes. It's crazy, but they're all gaining steam now. So
I'm waiting for the curling cards.
Yeah.
That's a favorite of mine.
We may be waiting
I feel like that's a sport I could do, maybe not at the Olympic level, but I mean, I'm never going to dunk a basketball, but I can dust the ice.
Well, so I heard that you may have brought a soccer card.
Oh, I did. I almost forgot. There you go. So it's one of my favorites when it comes in. This is the 58 Pele rookie card, which is just fun to say. And this one's in a PSA 8.5.
Can you pronounce the name of this set?
I'm not even going to try. You're the expert at pronouncing.
No, I'm not even going to take a stab at this. Sorry, I'm going to let you look at that card. This is one I know well enough to know I shouldn't take a stab at it. I think there's just, but this is a legendary soccer card. This is kind of the T206 Jonas Wagner of soccer cards.
He's the name. If you don't know anything about soccer, you know Pele.
Of course.
This is his rookie year. It's the year he won his first World Cup. He scored 2 goals in the final, and the opponents afterwards said it was a pleasure to be on the pitch with him. So he set the soccer world on its ear this year. So any collector knows a rookie card is incredibly valuable, and this is a cool one from an absolute icon. Whether you like soccer or not, he's the name you know, and it's very hard to find in a high grade. You can tell when you look that it's not the highest quality paper it was made out of. It's very small, smaller than most baseball cards.
Yeah, it's smaller than a tobacco card.
Right, and
it's almost the size of like a stamp.
It's a cool portrait too. That Brazil jersey just jumps off right there.
Yeah. That is, oh my gosh, I gotta show that one more time. I absolutely love this card. So I'm not a soccer card collector. I'm still giving them a hard time, but this is a card that I would definitely love to have in my collection. And anybody would like to have this, but I'm just saying a copy of this card is something I can totally see fitting in my collection, just because if you have one soccer card, like, he's iconic enough to, you know, transcend
everything.
Yes, exactly. He's like, I feel the same way about Mike Tyson. I used to collect boxing cards a lot, and Mike Tyson is the one card that I want to hang on to, just because from my youth.
Sentimental value.
Exactly. So we've talked about selling with you guys, but what about buying? Like we all know how to buy on eBay and whatever else is out there right now, but how simple is it if I wanted to go after something that's coming up in one of your auctions?
It couldn't be easier, and we have the best website in the industry. It's used more often than every other sports website combined as
You're
far
kidding.
as our usage. But we've really tailored it to make it as easy as possible to navigate. The information you need is all there. You just go to ha.com. We always have auctions up. We have weekly auctions that run for 2 weeks. They launch every Sunday night. And there's some great affordable stuff in there. And then our catalog auctions, which since we're doing 13, they run for almost a month. Basically, there's a catalog auction up at all times. All of our auctions are extended bidding closing, which starts at 10 p.m. Central for all of our auctions. And you can go in, you can track items on our website. You can put in want list terms. So you collect Mike Tyson,
Oh, wow.
you put in Mike Tyson. Whenever we enter an item that has Mike Tyson in the title, you'll get an email with a link to it. So it's very simple, and our staff is always here. One thing we really like is if people call in, they say, I'm interested in bidding in this item. You can talk to a person if you want. We'll go get the item out of the vault, tell you about it, tell you our honest opinion. We're not just going to say for everything, this is the greatest item you've ever seen. You spend whatever. You know, we'll give you an honest, direct opinion on what we think it's worth, what we think is great about it, and if there's anything flaws or anything, we'll let you know on that too.
So I could call and say, hey, I know that Giannis 1 of 1, you know, it looks like there might be a print dot on the back. I can't tell in the scans. Can you
For you, we'll
this?
pull it out. Yeah. For anyone, we spend a lot of time doing that. When our auctions close, it's all online, but our staff is all here and we're on the phones the whole time talking to people. We have the best website, but we love talking to people, especially now when we can't do shows.
Right, of course.
So it's great, and we'll take any opportunity to communicate. And there are some people who just want to hear a person, and yes, you can read our incredible descriptions, look at the great photos online, but it's nice to hear someone say and confirm, answer your questions, whatever you need. We got that personal touch for you.
I got to tell you, it's very reassuring to know that I can pick up and call you guys and
now you got my cell number.
Literally talk to a human being and say, hey, that card, lot number, whatever, looks amazing. Is it that nice in hand? Like, give me your honest opinion, just to hear someone else, you know, reaffirm what you're seeing online.
And we have experts that know everything, and on the card side especially, we have some of the best minds in the hobby. Derek Grady, Lee Iskowitz, Dan Imler, you know, a lot of them were former graders.
No kidding.
So they know what the grading standards are, what the grading companies are looking for. We've got Pete Calderon on the card side. He's impossible to stump. Whenever I find someone that has some obscure card and I show it to him, I'm like, you've never seen this before. And he can rattle off 2 minutes of information about it, whatever it is like that. So when people come to us, they've inherited something, they don't know what it is, we can tell them. When the biggest experts in the hobby have a question about a card, they can come to us, and we have a person that can speak to them on their level too.
I want to ask you, because you guys actually have good relationships with all the third-party graders as well. So if I come in with a raw collection that's incredibly valuable, you can also work out the deal with the grading company to get them graded prior to going to auction, right?
And that's one of our specialties, is when people come to us with a raw collection. That's one of my favorite things to post on our social media is, you know, people can't believe, you know, we just had an incredible collection of 48 Leaf come in that are totally raw. And, you know, there's 6 or 7 Jackies in there.
Oh,
so
my God.
People can't believe it's out there, but it's out there. And a lot of times those people aren't familiar with the hobby. They may not even know grading or grading standards.
Yeah.
So our experts will go through, they'll take you card by card. This one would benefit from grading. This one probably not. We'll break this off into a set. This would do great as a mid-grade set. These are your highlight cards. We're going to sell these individually. Like we talked about earlier with an auction house, we're on the same team. We want it to sell for as much as possible. We're going to let our experts tell you what they think. Of course, the consignor has a voice in it too about what they want to do.
Sure.
We'll give you our opinion, our expertise, and you make the decisions about how you want to proceed.
You guys are going to set up the strategy, make sure they agree, and both parties are interested, and that's awesome. I mean, this is actually something I talked about in a recent episode, but I need to put a plan in place for my wife, because God forbid something happened to me. I don't want her to be stuck with this giant collection trying to figure out like what in the world do I do? Who do I trust? Like, it's so nice to know there's a place like Heritage where she could just say, hey, Mike, something horrible happened to my husband. We have all these cards now. Can
He's
you
like,
help
why are
me
you
out?
laughing?
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing.
Is that a Lamborghini I hear in the back?
That's one thing that we think is really important. A lot of people who collect, their kids and their family aren't into it and usually do not know near as much as they do about it. So we offer full appraisals where we can just tell you what we think it's worth. We can also give you formal documents that you can put with it. So if something tragic happened to you, your family goes there, they don't have to know. They've got our information, they've got the appraisal, they can come to us, get it reappraised, you know, because it's going to be decades from now, I promise you that.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
And they can find out what it is, and we're going to offer them the same service. We'll tell you exactly what it's worth. If you want to sell it, we can help you with that. If you just want to hold on to it, if you want to insure it and you don't know how much to insure it for, we can help you with that too. Okay,
so we have time for one more item. If you've got something else over there, I know you have an endless stash of cool things.
I mean, I've got hundreds of items just over here.
Oh my gosh.
But how can we not talk about Michael Jordan right now? He's one of the hottest names in the market. These are 1993 Air Jordan 8s that were worn by His Airness, and he signed each of them. The cool thing about Air Jordans is everybody has their favorites. We were talking about earlier, my favorites are the Air Jordan 3s. But there's always somebody who's very passionate about what kind of Air Jordans you have. And of course, Air Jordans that are just market are incredibly valuable right now, but ones that were worn by him, it's off the charts. You know, the prices have almost quadrupled since The Last Dance came out.
That is just, so I'm sorry, you said these are game worn?
That's correct.
Oh, how cool. So he's a 13. That's a serious
He's
shoe.
a 13 in one shoe and a 13 and a half in the other.
Interesting.
Which if you're buying Jordan gamers and they don't have that specification, they're not legit. That's the first one right off the top. One shoe's 13, one shoe's 13 and a half.
So which one's his bigger foot?
You're doing research.
So these are
right
both 13.
13 and a half from the measurement.
Oh, got it. Okay, I see. All right. These are nice. These are game worn. So do we know what season these would have been from?
Yeah, 1993. So a title year, which always adds a premium to it. And you know, since The Last Dance came out, Jordan prices have just been amazing. We sold the 86 Fleer Jordan rookie card in an SGC 10 for $420,000 a couple months ago.
Gosh.
Which we had set the record for a PSA 10 at $93,000 in May. And then this was just 2 months later smashing it. So that's how fast things are going for Jordan. And the cards are great. I love the memorabilia from Jordan, though. You know, he's right in our wheelhouse. We watched him play. So imagining anything, you know, his feet were in this. He was dunking in these. His jerseys, his game-worn material is at an all-time high right now.
Are you ever tempted to just throw on a pair of like game-worn Jordans and run them around the office?
I'm not worthy to wear Jordans, and they wouldn't fit. My favorite is when we get Shaq game-worn shoes.
Oh yeah, what size are his?
22.
Oh my. It's a water ski.
It's bigger than my keyboard, I'll say that. So for a good frame of reference there.
Mike, this has been a blast, man. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Absolutely, a pleasure.
I've learned a lot, and I hope you guys, if nothing else, go check out the Heritage Auction site. It's ha.com. Like, it can't get easier to find than that.
As easy as it gets.
And click on the sports auctions, or you know, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, they've got a little bit for everybody, much like our wonderful hobby. Thank you, Mike, and we will see you guys next time. We're going to tell the story of a sports card collector who made one of the most epic card flips of all time.
When I sold 80 Lucas for $15,000, I really started tracking the values, and they kept going up, and they kept going up. And the first thought was, wow, I can sell 6 cards and buy a piece of property.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out another episode of PackGeek. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks.
PackGeek.